A Twilight in Delhi, written by Ahmed Ali. Nice book to read. It's very difficult to explain all the themes of this book in just one video. But the tradition has set. I have seen some videos of the reviews. So after this, I'm doing as well. So first of all, I would like to explain the title of this book, Twilight in Delhi. The writer wants to give an account of the end of the prosperity, downfall of United India. So that's why Twilight, you can say that the sun of civilization, the sun of prosperity, good things, riches was going to set in Delhi, and Delhi was the central part of United Hindustan. So this is something, a reflection on the topic, on the title of this, and then let's talk about the themes of this novel. The themes, number one theme is written that India was very rich and prosperous before the advent of the Britishers, and the everyday life of Delhi. This is also the theme, and the ghastly events of 1857 war, that was called as the War of Independence, and after this a negative attitude of the Britishers, of the rulers, particularly against the Muslims. And so there are few themes, and then there may be some sub themes as well. Now let's talk about the characters. I would like to talk first about the main characters. The main characters may be 5-6 main characters. Number one is Mir Nihal. He is the central character. The story revolves around him and his son, and he has 3 sons and 2 daughters. So I think one son is Asghar Ali, who is the main character. Other is the Habibuddin. He is relatively a small character. Begum Waheed is his daughter, and Mehro is his daughter. I forgot the name of another son. That is not very important in this novel. After Asghar Ali, there is the wife of Asghar Ali, Bilquees, very important character. And then the wife of Mir Nihal, Begum Nihal, mother to Asghar and all other children. And then there is a main character of Bilquees' mother. The name of this woman was Begum Shahbaz. Yes, Begum Shahbaz. Okay, now I would like to talk something about the themes again. That the writer laments that there is the end of the good days, and the writer laments that still the remnants of the prosperity, still the remnants, some signs of the old Delhi, they are found in 1911. 1911 is the year in which the writer gives a start to the novel. Since writer Ahmed Ali belongs to Delhi himself, so that's why he has a very good memory. Since he was not born in that era, but he is representing the account and the details which he had read or which he had collected from the others. So he says that the people are they are having a kind of fondness that they used to tame pigeons, and the children and the youth, they always fly kites. I think to me there is no harm when you are taming pigeons and when you are flying. It's only possible when you have a good time and when you have enough money and then you have no work. So this represents a kind of prosperity. The children, most of the time they were running in the streets and they were playing kites, because in those days technology was not there. I can remember that in our childhood, very good amount of the students and good amount of other children, they used to fly kites. But nowadays we don't find any kite in the heaven. because people are busy. Children are even busy with their TVs and with their cell phones. So in those days, technology was not introduced. That's why, you know, people used to fly kites. And the writer gives a very tactful account of like very serious scene is going on, a very serious you know, conversation between the two characters is going on, and then he gives a kind of reflection of the kites. So this really hints to something. And there is also the kite flyers. They are hooting against their birds, their tamed birds. So in the middle of the conversation, or in the middle of any serious event, you know, the writer gives an account. So this may be a kind of hint towards the situation. So the conflict in this novel, I find that the circumstances, the changing conditions of India, of Delhi, like the Britishers, you know, there was the coronation scene, and in the coronation scene, the Delhi mask was represented, and Mir Nihal, he was attending unwillingly the coronation of the king, like we can say that the viceroy of that time. I cannot remember the name right here. He says that it is the same Delhi mask, it is the same gate, bloody gate of the Delhi mask after the war of 1857, when, you know, hundreds of the people, they were slaughtered who took refuge in this Delhi mask. And Mir Nihal also laments, and he gives a kind of flashback, or because he was a child in 1857, and in the you know, upheaval or in the commotion of 1857, he was a child, and he gives a kind of reverie. He says that he found after 1857 the grandchildren of Bahadur Shah Zafar begging in the streets, and one of the granddaughter, she used to come to the house of Mir Nihal for begging purpose, and she was giving the poetry, reciting the poetry of her grandfather Bahadur Shah Zafar, and some other princes, you know, who turned out to be barbers, washermen, in order to fill their bellies. So means in whole novel you would be finding that how cruel had been the Britishers against the Mughals and against the Muslims and against the common people of India. So this is what all, but you know, there are some stories of the characters as well. Like there is a love story of Asghar and Bilquees, and Asghar loves a lot before the marriage, and he tries to convince the parents of Bilquees, and it was very difficult to convince the parents of his. Like they were Sayyid, and the Bilquees parents, they were not Sayyid, and there was a family clash, and there was the clash between the classes, and but somehow he convinced the both families, and he married to Bilquees. I would like to you know, talk very lightly here about another themes, that there was unjust treatment of the men towards their women. Like Asghar changed very quickly after getting married to his lady love. He used to adore her physical beauty, the beauty of her eyes, and everything he used to, like a poet gives the account. But afterwards, you know, after just 1 year, he changes, and he does not even pay a glance towards the poor lady. And because of this grief, that grief of callousness and cruelty and indifference of her own husband was eating her, you know, from within. And Bilquees was getting you know, pale, she was getting sick, and after some time she became the patient of tuberculosis. And Asghar used to say off and on that, you know, for what purpose I have got married? I have got married for the peace, for the relaxation, you know, for the comfort, but I am not getting either of them. So, but Bilquees is a tongue-tied woman. She does not talk much, she does not complain. But the mother of Bilquees, you know, Begum Shahbaz, she used to have quarrels with her son-in-law, but of no will. After some time, Bilquees dies, and after the death of Bilquees, Asghar seeks his pleasure and seeks his comfort in other women. And about Mir Nihal, the main character, father of Asghar, it's also shown that he had also kept a mistress, and he had provided a separate house to that woman. The name of that woman was Babban Jan. And when Babban Jan dies, there was a complete change in the life of main character Mir Nihal. He stops flying the pigeons, and he turns to some other passions like making medicines. He was trying to become alchemist. He engaged more and more in alchemy. There was a very sad scene. There was a very sad happening of Bilquees' death. The writer has very marvelously pointed out the death of main character Bilquees. And after there was another death because in 1918 there was a virus that was not exactly like coronavirus. It was an influenza virus, and influenza virus claimed many deaths. So writer says that almost in every house there was one dead. So the brother to Asghar, Habibuddin, the eldest son of Mir Nihal, dies. And I would like to talk about another theme, that people in those days and even to this day had a very queer beliefs in the unscientific methods of cure. Like when somebody is very ill, so they are bringing amulets, they are bringing charms from the Molvis, from the Pandits, and from the Fakirs. So Asghar was hellbound that doctor should be consulted with, but no other family of the member. They were saying that that member of that family got cured because of this fakir. So let's invite this fakir and other people. They used to do their charms and other things on the Habibuddin, who was dying because of an illness, because the illness was it was TB. Tuberculosis was not I think had a cure in those days. And the last scene of this novel is like this, that Habibuddin dies, and the father of Habibuddin and Asghar, Mir Nihal, the main character, he was quite paralyzed. He was unable to move, and he was crawling. He was even not able to talk properly. So writer is giving a kind of reflection that this was the condition of Delhi. Like Delhi was very prosperous. Like in the start of the play, Mir Nihal was very agile and energetic, but in the end he became quite paralyzed. So India, means because of the Britishers, India became quite paralyzed and crawling on the feet or on the hands, and unable to complain that what kind of grief and what kind of pains. Mir Nihal does not die in the end, but he was just on the death's bed. So this is what all I can say about. I hope that you might have liked my tiny effort. So please give your comments if you have to say something.